Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Jamaica National Agency for Accreditation is an agency of the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. JANAC was established in 2007 as the national accreditation body of Jamaica. Over our 16 years of operation, we have built a strong legacy of providing internationally recognized accreditation and training services to laboratories, inspection, and certification bodies in Jamaica and 10 other countries in the Caribbean. We are proud to be the only internationally recognized accreditation body in the English-speaking Caribbean. We offer services that facilitate global market access for goods and services, services that enhance the credibility and competitiveness of businesses, and services that safeguard consumers and health and well-being. Our accreditation services provide confidence to the marketplace and support several key sectors such as healthcare, food, agriculture, environment, national security, construction, among others, and we hope to do the same for our sports industry. JANAC is recognized by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration for 2 programs. Those 2 programs are aimed at ensuring that the food exported to the United States is safe and of the highest quality. JANAC is one of 8 global accreditation bodies recognized by the Food and Drug Administration with authority to accredit third-party certification bodies for 10 of the possible 11 scopes. And I must add that JANAC, or Jamaica National Agency for Accreditation, has the largest scope in the entire globe. We also are one of 4 accreditation bodies recognized for the FDA laboratory accreditation for analysis of foods. This accreditation focuses on accrediting food testing labs. We invite our drug testing laboratories that support the Jamaican sport industry to benefit from the enhanced credibility and international acceptance of test results that is available through JANAC's accreditation of testing laboratories to the ISO IEC 17025-2017 standard. For those who may not be familiar with the requirements of this and other standards, we actually offer training. And so for more information, you can visit our website at www.janac.gov.jm, and we also have a booth in the marketplace. So thank you very much, and do have a great plenary session and the rest of the conference.
So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to get on the way with the Plenary 7. I want to take the opportunity to welcome you to harnessing the creative industries and sport for national development. It's really an honor and a privilege to be sharing the space and the stage with you and our experts across the cultural and creative industries here in Jamaica. I want to take the opportunity to just ask that those who are speaking, that you be mindful. Thank you so much that we are underway with Plenary 7. Thank you for your understanding and respect for those who have given their undivided attention. So I'm Hugh Simmons. I'm the sector lead for arts, sport, and culture on the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council. And the privilege and honor is mine to introduce this esteemed panel of presenters who will be sharing their expertise, their experience, and of course bring their energy and excitement to the discourse that we'll have. And of course, we will definitely be looking forward to your questions and engagement. And that's essential because I know you're here to share with us, and we are delighted to hear from you. So to kickstart, I want to introduce to my immediate left, I have none other than Kwame McPherson, and they will do their own spiel to let you know who they are. Then next to Kwame, of course, we have Jackie J. Jackson, let me add the triple J, and we have Andrea Dempster-Chung, and we have Kadeen Ellis and Dwight Peters. And I will ask the ladies to begin with their introduction to share with our audience. So ladies and gentlemen, I just ask you to have them introduce, and then we give them all a welcoming round of applause. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Hugh. Hello, Diaspora. No, I'm not hearing the Diaspora. Hello, Diaspora. Good evening. We know it's the last session, but we are bringing our energy, and we hope you'll bring yours too. So my name is Andrea Dempster-Chung, and I run an NGO called Kingston Creative. And what most people don't know is that Kingston Creative is a diaspora project. I was born in Glasgow, Scotland, and when the idea was hatched, I was living in London, and my two co-founders were living in Boston and in Miami. Like so many Jamaicans abroad, we saw art districts like Soho, Shoreditch, and Wynwood bringing social and economic benefits to these cities. We saw countries that were investing in theaters and arts infrastructure. We even supported and donated to the arts and various charities in the countries where we lived. But when it came to Jamaica, when you live so far away, it's hard to know who to trust and who was actually making a difference on the ground. So we took the leap. And in 2017, one of us moved back home, that would be me, and became a returning resident for the second time. And the rest, as they say, is history. So in 7 short years, Kingston Creative has hosted over 150 festivals and meetups, given hundreds of cultural tours, worked with 20 inner city communities, painted over 100 murals, the majority of them in Water Lane, downtown Kingston. We've developed platforms like the Culture Connect app, that's Kulcha, downloadable from your Google Play, and the Caribbean Creative Network. And these are platforms that allow anyone, anywhere in the world to find a Jamaican creative and buy goods from them. Kingston Creative also opened a co-working studio space located in the heart of downtown Kingston. But what does all of that really mean? It means that we have started to write a new story for downtown Kingston. Controlling the narrative about your country is critical. This hope and transformation story has been shared in The Guardian, on the BBC, in National Geographic, and Forbes magazine, and more. The world is very excited about what's happening in Jamaica and in downtown Kingston in particular, the arts renaissance, they call it. Downtown Kingston has won global awards last year, including the World's Best Creative Destination 2023, Downtown. Our Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Ed Bartlett, collected it in Berlin. Hollywood superstars like Scandal's very own Kerry Washington, and all tourists from all over the world now put Water Lane, downtown Kingston on their itinerary when they plan to visit Jamaica. This is a huge shift in a relatively short space of time, and with a relatively small investment from the TEF, from Sherwin-Williams, and from members of the Diaspora. Kingston Creative is a movement made up of people just like me and you, people who live either here in Jamaica or who live in the Diaspora, and who are tired of sitting and waiting for change to happen. We believe in our talent as a people, and we are betting on our little but Talawa energy and culture to bring about the change that we really want to see in our country. Ours is a story of transformation, and we're working towards the ultimate vision of one downtown, a capital city that is united by arts and culture, with live music, a night economy, regenerated buildings, low crime, free movement between communities, creative communities like Tivoli Gardens, Trenchtown, and Raytown, and hordes of people seeking cultural experiences and their money moving through downtown Kingston. We are here for investment and growth in GDP. Now, let me be very, very clear. I am not asking you to care about arts and culture. Whether you personally like art, music, film, or dance is irrelevant. I am asking you to care about the Jamaican economy. I'm asking you to care about jobs, employment of youth, employment of women, and to see how this opportunity, powered by our creative people, can be transformative for our country. The data shows that the creative economy is a productive area with one of the highest growth rates over the past decade. Globally, it represents 3% of the world's GDP, employs more than 30 million people, and generates an estimated US $2.253 trillion. I sit on the Global Creative Economy Council, and from this vantage point, this group sees other countries investing strategically in this area and reaping the rewards. This is an untapped opportunity for Jamaica, and one that the diaspora can be pivotal in moving forward. In the diaspora, we already know culture is Jamaica's superpower, right? We already know this. It is what we do better than any country in the world. So, as a diaspora, let us lobby to have the right policies in place to develop creative people, creative places, not just downtown, but historic places like Black River, like Falmouth. And let us take collective responsibility and harness our culture and creativity for the sustainable development of our nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. So, Jackie, over to you.
It's hard to follow up, I'm a storyteller, so I'm going to go ahead and tell my story. My name is Jackie Jacqueline Jackson, and I am the Film Commissioner for Jamaica. It's dual role. I also have responsibility for film, animation, and music at JAMPRO. And I am really proud to be on this panel with esteemed panelists and, of course, moderator. I think I want to start by talking about how my trajectory of my life allowed me to now be in this position as film commissioner. I think that's important. As I was living in New York for the last 10 years and, creating and working, I left University of the West Indies, went to TVJ. I was producing Smile Jamaica, other feature programs. I'm on doing music videos, because that's what I've always wanted to do. And then I decided I want to get my master's in film, video, and television production. I need to be on more sets. So I was fortunate enough to be accepted at LIU, and I was able to work in New York, BET, Revolt. I was fortunate also to work on the show at Comedy Central called Nightly Show with Larry Wilmore. So, I loved that, and I loved the experience I was getting working on short films, feature films. I was also director for a big mini media festival in Brooklyn. And so I loved just exploring and learning. I have a minor in philosophy, and I love it's the love of learning. And I decided at some point about 2018, 2019 that I wanted to come home. So I think at this point is where I can say, I came home.
Welcome home.
Right. I decided to come home, and I decided to come home because I saw what the government was doing for the creative industries. That's important. So this is my story. I saw the work that was being done. I saw that feature films are being done, and I can speak from statistical standpoint in my position. There's over 100 films being made on the island yearly, right? So that goes right into film production expenditures. I have to big up my people, right? So you have a percentage of that's international productions, and then you have local productions. And I was like, I want to be a part of that. I want to tell my stories. I love foreign, don't get me wrong. But I wanted to come home, and I wanted to impact. I want legacy stuff. Having said that, I decided to move home, and I started my ideation company called Ideate That Limited, a Jamaican company for creatives who want to understand from an ideation right through to conceptualization. Then you push that through to production, and then, of course, the execution of the project. And then, people are, okay, this is a new girl on the block. And I said, I need to build the resume a little bit more. I then decided to create a TV show. I created a TV show called Psychology Off. It's a TV show that speaks about the colloquialism of Jamaica, how it is that we speak. When I travel, and I do travel a lot now in my role, people, just the way I speak, they're like, oh, you're Jamaican, or just my vibe, my energy. They can tell, they can tell. And so I decided I would, do a TV show because I've been doing so many TV shows in New York. I want to create something for my country. So I'm now in 3 seasons. This is where you clap. It's on TVJ. 3 seasons of Psychology Off. I've done Bad Mind, I've done Bun, and then I have done Bread. And then next, I'm in development for season 4. And then I started to develop something else because I realized the creative industries, they need some way to express themselves. So I developed the first ever Jamaican adults coloring book called I Am That I Am, in stores in all Fontana, and then it's online on Amazon. I say that to say, I'm so proud of my creatives on the ground that are doing the work, and I'm so proud that I'm now a part of that. I'm so proud that I'm in the capacity as film commissioner to help to promote the investment in and the export of the creative industries.
Thank you so much. So I turn over to Kadeen.
Hello there. Hi, everyone. Come on, I know it's the last session of the day, but I need to feel the energy. How are you all? That's better, that's better. I am so excited, so honored to be on this panel alongside such distinguished creatives as well. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kadeen Ellis. My mother is of Jamaican descent. She was born in Clarendon, my father from St. Vincent. And I'm also known to many people for my YouTube channel that I have with my husband and my boys. I have 4 sons.
I mean, I watch it religiously.
Do you watch religiously?
It's good stuff.
Oh my goodness, I love to hear that. Thank you.
Good stuff.
And pretty much it started where my husband and I knew that we both wanted to be in the entertainment industry. But we all know that that's not necessarily the easiest industry to break into. So that being said, my husband had the bright idea one day to start to use social media as a vehicle for us to display our talents. And at the time, I'm thinking, how are we gonna do that? We don't really have a script, we don't have a set. And he's like, let's just use our life as the story. And a couple people who we mentioned it to thought, you know what, you guys have pretty interesting day-to-day things that happen. You're a millennial married couple. You have, at the time, only 1, maybe 2.5 sons, and now eventually 4. But we were able to authentically share our story and the art of storytelling through being ourselves. And we use social media as a vehicle to be able to display to people our talents. My husband went to school to be an actor. I went to school for broadcast journalism. I have a master's in speech communication, performance, and rhetorical studies. So this is something that was embedded for me in early. Anybody know the movie The Mighty Quinn?
Probably only me.
Classic. What did you say?
I said probably only me. I'm obsessed with old vintage
Same.
Jamaican.
Old vintage Jamaican movies. So The Mighty Quinn was actually one of my first films that I watched. Yeah. And the pride that I felt as a woman or a child at the time of Jamaican descent, then seeing now who is Denzel Washington. And our very own Sheryl Lee Ralph at the time. When I met her at the Independence Gala last year with Consul General of New York, Alcyon Wilson, it was just beautiful to look at her and love on her and let her know in that moment, man, I really looked up to you as a child, and to be here alongside you, presenting her an award at the gala was just an amazing time. But I say all that to say, there was something in me early on that I knew I was a creative. And what I like to promote with my platform now is the idea that youngsters can do anything that they want to do. Sometimes the narrative that's pushed on a Caribbean household or a West Indian household is you have to go into medicine, or you have to go into law, or you have to do all these other things, and that there is no way to be successful in the arts and in the creative industry. So I'm excited to say, to this day right now, my husband and I are New York Times bestselling authors. We co-wrote a book together. We have a podcast that you can access anywhere you listen to podcasts. Did you listen to? Deadass with Kadeen and DeVal, where we talk about so many different things, and we really just try to educate people on love and life and experiences. My husband is on 2 of Tyler Perry's shows right now. Anybody watch Sisters or The Tima? Okay, a couple people know Zach. So really, we like to use our platform, and like you said, we should not be relying on anyone else to tell our stories.
Amen.
That is the biggest piece of the puzzle, and that's why I'm here, to see how I can lend support. Madam C.G. Wilson, she and I are actually working on something very special that I think will really work to push forward the film industry right here in Jamaica. And I was happy to speak with PM this morning, who let us know that there is a film fund that has been put together.
That's my baby.
That's your baby, exactly, and you're taking proposals soon, which I think is amazing. So we really cannot allow and wait for others to be the ones to tell our stories and our narratives. I can't tell you how many times I've watched films or I've auditioned for roles, and you end up seeing who gets the role as a Jamaican, and I'm like, she don't sound like a real Jamaican to me. Our patois a little off, and you really think, man, why couldn't that have gone to an authentic Jamaican in that role? So I really want to be able to use my platform and alongside you all today speak more about how we can use our platforms to be able to be of support to people within the industry who aspire to be there.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Kitty. So I always want to ensure the gentlemen on the stage do get the opportunity to introduce themselves. But I have a lady who's waiting, our Honorable Minister, Olivia Grange, that I want to make sure you will yield to her, of course, gentlemen. It's the honor and privilege and my delight and excitement to introduce our very own, the Honorable Olivia Babsy Grange, CD and MP, and I will invite her, or Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, to share with us to the podium to my right. I will invite the minister to come, and then we will continue with the introduction. Let's show some love. Come on. Let's show our minister some diasporic love. All right, let's give it up for the Honorable Olivia Babsy Grange.
And the cultural and creative industries is now how we benefit. From the seed of creative innovation and centuries of cultural survival and exploration, visualizing, documenting, representing, producing, performing, all from this fertile Jamrock culture soil that has blessed the world with lyrical genius, movement magic, the waistline, baseline.
Just draw it, yeah.
Gaming, design, fashion, film, lighting, visual soul energy in motion. And at the heart of it all is a people so vibrant and true. Their spirit shines through. Beautiful, strong, resilient. Talawa, Jamaica. Our innovators use their ingenuity to produce festivals and spectacles that captivate the world. Talk is cheap unless it's Jamaica talk. How we talk is a song, and we package it and bring the world along. On grand stages, the vibe our artists bring alive in otherwise motionless bodies is unbelievable. Stop the clock for moments in time. We stop the clock, helping us to forget anything but that pervasive bass line. Returning again and again, like our culture resurfacing even after passing from the land or great icons stamping the Jamaica brand overseas and back by demand, as if they never left. That's the impact on the world of Jamaica's cultural and creative industries. We are the Talawa people, and through our art and from our heart, our culture produces and presents an industry to make us proud. The cultural and creative industries built on something stronger and even longer than time. One love, Jamaica. One love, Jamaica. One love.
Thank you. That's just a synopsis of what we are about. Honorable Alanda Terrelon, and I must tell all of you that Minister Terrelon was my Minister of State, and I lost him to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But he has brought the vibrancy and the culture. And so it's really my pleasure today to be addressing you. Heads of missions and consular corps, permanent secretaries. My permanent secretary is here, P.S. Dino Bernard. I don't know if other permanent secretaries are present at this time. This is the #1 permanent secretary, Ambassador Sealy Monteith. But it is with, and Ambassador Green, it is with a sense of excitement that I welcome all of you who left Jamaica and went overseas to make a life for yourselves and your families. But I also want to welcome second, third, and fourth generation, and all the generations who didn't burn a yard, but still are Jamaicans. Those of you who brave the cold, the unwelcome stares, sometimes, yet always determined, always resilient, as you set about establishing Jamaica outside of Jamaica. More Jamaicans living abroad than Jamaicans living a yard. I salute you today as courageous and resilient. Here we are, celebrating your achievement in building one of the strongest diasporas of the world. Ms. Lee would say, clap yourself. It is exciting because it demonstrates what Jamaicans can achieve through will and sheer hard work. We Jamaicans living in Jamaica and those living in the diaspora, it is even more exciting when I think that we Jamaicans living in the homeland and those of you living in the vast Jamaican diaspora can achieve if we come together with one mind, one heart, and in one love to build Jamaica, the land we love. I come to tell you some of the real Jamaican stories on how we can harness the power of Jamaica's entertainment, culture, creative industries, and sport, which I call physical culture for national development. And our panelists here, I want you to specially recognize them because they contribute to what we call the creative industries. We must begin by recognizing that we are a people of creative imagination who have never let the odds against us defeat us. We are fiercely determined and also very feisty because we are a proud people. We are a people who have known how to use our creativity and our self-identity to ensure that we stand out wherever we are. Anywhere you go, and you just look, you can tell if that person is Jamaican. Am I right? We just have an attitude, we have a swag, we have a vibe. Trust me, you just know the man there or the woman there or the young girl is a Jamaican. Something special about us. So we are a people who have known how to use our creativity and our self-identity. And through it all, we must remember, and I paraphrase the words of the Honorable Louise Bennett Coverley, mother of Jamaican culture, that anywhere we're there, a Jamaica. We Jamaicanize everything. Once we get into your space, we turn it around and make it our space. So I invite you to let us together use our creativity, our heritage, and our culture to build a greater and more robust Jamaican economy and impactful brand Jamaica, which can serve us all, both those on the rock and those in the diaspora. It follows on the movement of our people as celebrating in Marley's Exodus, an exodus that saw a country girl like Millie Small enter the hearts of many and blew the world away with My Boy Lollipop. Some of you are too young to know, but there are those of you who will remember My Boy Lollipop. It follows on so many Jamaicans who dared to believe they could make it anywhere and who were supported by people like Chris Blackwell, in the case of Trentown's rock Bob Marley, as they opened doors for other Jamaicans and carved out new revenue streams in the Jamaican economy. I want to say to you here today that these stories, replicated so many times in the past, can be done again. Like Jimmy Cliff, we always know that we can get it if we really want, and that the harder they come, the harder they fall, one and all. I want to invite you, our diaspora across the world, to get involved and invest in Jamaican festivals, Jamaican cultural activities, and even in Jamaican entertainment and cultural infrastructure. Jamaican music is our most penetratable export, found in every part of the globe. We must own it, invest in it, and make it work for our personal and collective economies. When we support global reggae festivals such as Rotterdam Sunsplash in Spain, where I was invited by the organizers to go to Spain to convince the government there to allow them to have the festival. And then that festival has grown to be the largest reggae festival in the world. We have people attending from all over the world. And you know what's interesting? You have bald and you have Rasta. Some of the locks that I see on Japanese and on Chinese reach their ankles. Because what we have done, we have given the world a music that has penetrated all corners of the world. We have given the world a new religion in Rastafari. And we have given the world so many wonderful things that anywhere you go and you say you're from Jamaica, you're treated in a very special way. So we have Reggae Sanska in France, Reggae Fest in Japan, or when we actively invest in the touring of Jamaican artists in nightclubs, arenas, and parks, we're investing in ourselves. When Bob Marley first started, when he toured, his first tour was in the clubs and the bars across the world, across Europe, across the United States, little clubs. When I broke reggae music in Canada and took it mainstream, but it was in the little clubs. And we saw mainstream Canadians. Marley saw people in the UK, people in the US, vibing to this music. They don't know how to speak Jamaican patois, but they were singing the words of those songs. That's the impact that we have on the world. So, it's not just music. It is theater with the likes of legends like Oliver Samuels. I mean, I'm sure everybody in here knows Oliver Samuels. He just has to open his mouth. And I'll tell you a little story. We were celebrating the introduction of International Year for the Youth. And I was responsible to coordinate the festival, which we call Jam Fest. Oliver Samuels was working with the Social Development Commission. And I said, let me borrow Oliver. He was so funny. I asked for a secondment to the Office of the Prime Minister. And I said, we're going to use him for all the commercials. He just had to open his mouth and tell you about an event. 45 events we produced in 10 days. And at the end of it all, I said to one of my associates from Toronto, Calvin Butler, a filmmaker, I said, we want to do a Jamaican comedy series. And we took Oliver and we did some 5-minute vignettes. We didn't have much money, but we were able to do the 5-minute vignettes and show them on JBC TV. I mean, the young people here don't know what JBC TV is. But we showed those 5-minute vignettes, and it was a big hit. And we eventually got a sponsor, and we started the series, Oliver at Large. So Oliver Samuels will be the first person to tell you that a Babsy bust me. So we have the National Dance Theatre Company, one of the best dance theatre, national dance theatre companies in the world. When they tour, when they perform for the diaspora, we are so proud of their performance. And then we have some of the most fantastic models. And I really want to commend Dwight Peters, who are here with us, for Saint International. In fact, his organization has the largest number of black models in the world. And of course, there are great painters and sculptors. As we speak, the Venice Biennial, the largest and oldest of its kind in the world, is this year featuring works by 3 Jamaican artists. Negro Aroused by Edna Manley, Conversation by Barrington Watson, Johnny Cool by Osmond Watson. Every member of the diaspora should have even one work of a Jamaican artist boldly exhibited in your home or your business place. You have to invest in your own. As I look in the audience, I see Tommy Cowan. Tommy Cowan, one of the members of the group called the Jamaicans, who won a festival song competition. Was it Baba Boom? Who remember Baba Boom Boom? Let me see the hands. I want to hear you sing it. Baba Boom Boom Festival. Baba Boom Boom. Tommy, stand up and be acknowledged. But I'll tell you another story about Tommy Cowan. He was Bob Marley's right-hand man. And he was integral in the peace concert that was held in Jamaica, where Bob Marley brought together Edward Seaga and Michael Manley to shake hands on stage. And another story about Tommy. Those from Toronto may remember that I was in Toronto and I managed Carleen Davis. came back home, got very busy in politics, and asked Tommy to manage Carlene's business on my behalf. Well, you know, Tommy managed Carlene on his behalf. And today, Carlene Davis is Mrs. Carlene Davis Cowan. And together, they now promote one of the biggest gospel festivals. The biggest gospel festival in Jamaica, and one of the biggest in the world, Fun in the Sun. So, as I said, there are many stories. This year, we have hosted several world-class events in track and field. And allow me to feature one among many, the Racers Grand Prix, which was celebrated not just for its world-class organization, and it's headed by the best coach in the world, Glenn Mills, the Honorable Glenn Mills, who was Usain Bolt's coach. But to the great pride of Jamaicans here and in the diaspora, that event saw our young, upcoming elite athlete, coached by Glenn Mills, Oblique Seville, defeat the always vaunting American lead athlete, Noah Lyles, in the 100-meter event. Now, don't get me wrong, we support Lyles because he loves Jamaica and continues to be inspired by the legend, Mr. Bolt, and his girlfriend, Janelle Bromfield, another athlete, happens to be the love of his life, and she's a Jamaican.
Wow.
But of course, Pastor Christian picked the fuss. We are praying that Seville will do it again at the Paris Olympics and beat Noah Lyles. Tough love. That's how we are, tough love. We're also building out our festivals here at home by seeking to upgrade our infrastructure for the arts, culture, and sport, and we call sport physical culture. We're investing in primary school facilities for sports. We're investing in community sports facilities. We are seeking to upgrade our creative infrastructure to more state-of-the-art facilities befitting of a nation widely regarded as the mecca of culture and sport in the Caribbean and in the world. In tandem with this is ensuring that our creatives and our sportsmen and women, boys and girls, have the necessary equipment and gears so that they can excel in the world. We are determined that no Jamaican creative or athlete should be expected to perform without proper gear. Perhaps one of the stories you can adopt, one of the things you can do, is shoe a champion. In other words, no Jamaican child or athlete should be running without proper footwear. The Institute of Sports, which falls under my ministry, we promote the basic school, track and field and football, Little League. We promote the primary school, track and field, of which Usain Bolt was a part. And I have a brother who was born in the US, who was the fastest youngster in the state of New York. He no longer runs. But he saw pictures of the kids running at the Institute of Sports Track and Field. And he noticed that some of them ran barefooted. Now you know how the sun hot. And he said, I am going to start a campaign to get running shoes for Jamaican youth. And he started a program. And I want to invite all of you to look at what you can do for sports, for culture, for entertainment as members of the diaspora. So today, I make my little contribution. You give a politician a mic, and you are in trouble. So I'm going to wrap my remarks by saying to all of you that we are all Jamaicans, if we're at home or if we're abroad. And I'm going to ask, they just want me to mention the Sports Development Foundation. And the Sports Development Foundation is the entity through which we raise funds for a sports development program. We're inviting you to reach out and to tell us how, boy, you see, my folks are very good. The general manager for the Sports Development Foundation, Alan Beckford, and a former athlete and Olympian. And so as I close, many of you will remember the festival song, Cherry O Baby. And you also will remember that Buju Banton entered the festival song competition. And his winning song was? I'm going to just ask them to play the song as I leave the platform, leave the stage. God bless you all, and thank you so much.
Kill Yardman. There, Yardman, down. Respect. I want to hear. Respect and love, man, to all Jamaica, no matter what in the world. One eye, like I own you. No matter where in this world I go, I am a Jamaican. No birth papers I have to show, 'cause I am a Jamaican. No matter where in this world I go, I am a Jamaican. No birth papers I have to show, 'cause I am a Jamaican. I have Jamaican walk them here.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Honorable Babsy Grange, or Minister of Entertainment, Culture, Gender, and Sport. Thank you so much. So, Kwame, I just want to ask take a quick run and introduce yourself, and then we'll get to the question.
All right.
Our next panelist, and then to our question.
And then Dwight, right? All right.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if I can follow everyone, but I'm just going to talk as I normally do. My name is Kwame McPherson, and I'm a diasporan, and that means I'm a recent returnee. And the thing is, once coming home, I didn't know about the creative energy. I knew about it. We create music, we create everything that we've created. Jamaica has an energy. I'm a writer, first and foremost. I love writing. I love telling stories. So my journey across the diaspora, because I have lived in various countries, but I have also had the love for Jamaica that I would always return one day. Now the thing is, which I will share, is that last year I won the Commonwealth Short Story Prize for the Caribbean and for the world. Thank you. And the thing is, I had entered that competition 9 times. And the one time I won that competition is in Jamaica, where I won everything. Out of 6,642 entries, 53 countries, I am, last year, was #1, the first Jamaican to do so for that literary competition. As a returnee, I have found being in the creative industry, which I'm now a part of, I have been able to partner with National Library of Jamaica. I have Bev Lindsay here, and we've done workshops together, creative writing workshops. I'm also part of an initiative, a community initiative, which is called the Jamaica Nomadic Tour, a poets tour, which we do poetry in schools. Now, the wonderful thing is, they were started by Diaspora. So the Jamaica Nomadic Poetic Tour was started by Diaspora. At the end of this month, we have the Black River Film Festival, which is the first to happen in Black River, the first of its kind, I probably think outside of Kingston, and that has also been started by Diaspora. And so I share that because a lot of times people think that the Jamaicans who are creating things, but Diasporans have come home and we have created and we continue to create. And for me, I have been very successful in terms of being able to write and win an international competition. Out of that, I will also share, and many of you here will probably are hearing it for the first time, that my award-winning story for last year has now been picked up to become a TV show or a movie. So it goes to show. That we as diasporans have come back and have benefited from the energy that Jamaica does have, but it also shows how we are contributing to nation development. So that is it.
Thank you so much, Kwame. Thank you. So, Dwight, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. I see my colleagues all turn to this direction. They say they left the best for last. Before I start, I must say this. I was extended the invitation, and thanks to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, I'm humbled to be here. But now that I'm here, a couple of things happening, and I have to wonder if it's just pure coincidence. Consul General Alcyon Wilson, first time seeing her in person. And beside her, I'm just seeing him because I didn't realize he was here. This is a shocker, be quiet now, her husband, who happens to be one of my very first Saint models. Stand, Omar. And I see mouths are open, but I have not seen him in many, many years. So I am indeed proud. You're doing well. Further, to my immediate right, the charming Kadeen Ellis revealed that her mother is from the parish of Clarendon. Her mother, hold on, that's my home parish too. Hold on, it gets better. Her mother went to the best high school in Jamaica, Glenmuir High, which happens also to be, listen carefully, the alma mater of the permanent secretary of the, and yours too. I tell you, what more would you need to convince me that the energy is absolutely right for me to be seated here this evening and to have the position of being the finale speaker, just to give the energy to the room. But let's get to the business of it. You know, my Jamaican family from the diaspora, welcome. We're there. Let me hear you. We're there. Let me hear you. You sound weak, man. Go again.
We're there.
Yes, we're there. To my esteemed colleagues on the panel, I do feel humbled to be among your peers this afternoon. Now, Saint International has been around for 24 years. In 2025, we celebrate 25. But as I reflect on aspects of the conference theme, particularly youth empowerment, I considered it a poignant symbolism for the work that Saint has been doing for the last 24 years. To set the stage, or make that the runway, it is important for us to contextualize the role of Saint as to why it is that I'm sitting here. Saint is totally Jamaican-owned, Jamaican-based, but an internationally operated model management company. Saint has discovered, developed, and placed internationally more Jamaican models, males and females, than any similar company in the history of the Caribbean. From New York to Paris, London to Milan, Hamburg to Barcelona, Athens to Istanbul, this Jamaican Saint brand burns brightly among the best across the world. Saint is the Jamaican brand managing models from Nigeria, Martinique, Guadeloupe, the United States, and now South Sudan. From our Jamaican base, Saint has created historic and memorable moments directly collaborating with iconic brands such as Balenciaga in Paris, creating history when 8 Saint Jamaican models walked for the brand's Fall 2019 collection. It was the first of its kind in history for a Jamaican, not just a Jamaican agency, but an agency specializing in black models to have that many on one major international runway. And so they're currently running the Spring-Summer 2014 campaign for the powerhouse British heritage brand, that's Burberry, was shot right here in Jamaica. And 4 Saint models were booked. Saint International was selected as the Jamaican partnering agency for the casting team for Burberry for this project. Saint global media coverage is impressive and obviously has lots of depth. The New York Times Sunday Style cover story, Forbes magazine, American Vogue, British Vogue, France's Le Monde, and an extensive list of other formidable lifestyle titles. Whether it's the coconut vendor from Portland, Tevin Steele, who made global headlines as the history-making breakout star for Saint Laurent in Paris, or Sashiba Griffith from Trenchtown, who sold with her mom in the market downtown, then hitting the runways of Paris for Givenchy, these stories showcase the heart of our tagline, changing lives, expanding horizons. And if you are still looking for that connection between Saint and this room, to the very right of this lineup, the mediator for this event, Dr. Hugh Simmons was actually one of the very first supporters of Saint so many years ago. And here we are today. So when I saw that he was the mediator, I wasn't even sure what was happening. But here we are, Sir Hugh. In many references, the creative industry, and this might be a challenge, is lumped together as if it's a monolith. But indeed, we are unique, disparate, nuanced units that can only actualize universal success if we're considered separately. We're not all the same. Even though we could collaborate together, music is different from fashion. Fashion is different from art. Art is different from film. And film is different from music. And so it is challenging if you are considering a strategy for the creative industry to always simply lump them together. So that's something we have to consider going forward from this platform. Undoubtedly, we share the best ambitions for Brand Jamaica. For the fashion industry to evolve and thrive, then an efficient, cohesive, and dynamic ecosystem must be meticulously curated and implemented. That's the only way we can have sustainability. As a part of the fashion industry, a reliable, affordable manufacturing architecture is also indispensable. Indeed, the educational infrastructure must be elevated to global standards. And surely, the Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts, for which I'm the chair, intends to accomplish such a role. So too will the Hart College of Beauty Services. The number of professional opportunities within the fashion industry is a lot. Designers, stylists, hairstylists, makeup artists, show producers, photographers, retouchers, location managers, studio owners, pattern makers, fabric consultants, and of course, the models. So we are here today to exchange thoughts, collaborate to achieve common ambitions, not just to intellectualize or contextualize, but to leave with that important clarity of a vision, a dream that is activated by the unrelenting pursuit of excellence and the burning passion for the greatness that we have infused with integrity. My family of the Jamaican diaspora, we must commit. We must remain united for Jamaica's transformation, fostering peace, productivity, and youth empowerment. We got this. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Dwight. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have the introduction of our panelists, and I'm going to just kickstart with the question, in what ways can cultural, artistic, and creative sectors contribute to community development and social cohesion within Jamaica? Andrea, I would like you to kickstart.
Sure, thank you. Culture is without doubt an agent of social change. It employs about 50% of women in Latin America and the Caribbean, so that is inclusion. I also can speak to the work that Kingston Creative does in communities and the impact on us achieving this one downtown. With the Heart Trust NTA, we design courses to target and certify community creatives. With the PIOJ Community Renewal Program, CRP, we partner to go into communities and train them in, not in creativity because the communities are already creative, but to train them in digital skills and business skills. So there's a lot of work that goes on in the communities, and of course we employ a lot of community creatives. We employ them in our mural projects, we employ them at our art walk festivals, we employ them at many, many opportunities come through the work we do in downtown. So you can see how that translates to economic benefit and social mobility and getting creatives into different spaces and employment. So creative industries are really a very powerful agent of change, especially when you have such a creative population. Raise your hand in here if anybody's creative. If you have any creative, if you dance, you sing, you use, okay, that's 50% of the room. You know, so Jamaicans are highly creative, and this is why it really is the best leverage tool for social change in our country.
Thank you so much. So, you know, when we think about, you know, we look about with Talawa, you know, so when we think of our music, as Dwight did share, we're not monolithic when it comes to the cultural and creative industry. So, you know, from Bob Marley to Burning Spear, Berries to Buju Banton, we see the music transcend. And when I share that with you, my question then for Jackie is, when you think of policy changes or initiatives that are necessary to support and harness the growth of Jamaica's creative industries, hearing what our fellow panelists are sharing, what are your thoughts on the step forward? Yeah.
Thank you for that question, because a part of my role is to push the policy and advocacy for the creative industries. And my remit is film, animation, and music. And what we look is at the research that has been done. That's our baseline. So all of the cultural and creative industries researches, we look at those, and then we look at the programs that have been implemented before. Then we also work with our stakeholders, because that's important too, because sometimes we want to design things without talking to the creatives themselves, right? So we have a lot of, and it happens a lot, but we want to go to the creatives and say, you know, what is it that you need? And specifically for music, what we've done internally, I know that Jampro is, you know, always pushing the screen-based industries. But when I joined the Film Commission last year, my president is here, President Cox. I said, President Cox, I really need to create an initiative specific for the music industry. So I pitched her artist management and monetization program. I did a concept note. You know, I told her, you know, we're being a TOR, we're going to bring in a consultant, we're going to have multiple conversations. I even reached out to Andrea and I said I want her support. I've reached out to Ministry of Culture. So there's that alliance with the agencies, the ministries, and also the public-private sort of partnership that is needed. And I want to say that, you know, we're into the first stage of ensuring that we have a consultant that comes on board to create something that is meaningful. Because sometimes we create these initiatives and it doesn't get to reach the creative. So we want to not just reach a particular artist, but we want to use and look at the youth. We want to talk about how we can get into speaking with the impresarios. And when I say that, the producers, you know, the stage managers, because what we find, even just based on preliminary research from the Jamaica Screen Development Initiative, is that artists, it's really hard to differentiate between the business and the art.
Thank you so much for that response. So, building on what you just shared, and I go, just to say, when we think of, our literary giants, literature, is important. Poetry, we have sitting the Commonwealth Prize winner beside us, Kwame. So from Claude McKay to Edward Barr, Kwame Dawes, Miss Lou, right back to Aishan Hutchinson. How important is the public-private partnership to foster the creation and the curation of a sustainable creative sector?
And it's a very good question. I think as one of the things I realized when I came home is that, as Dwight mentioned, everything has been put into one box. So, for example, when I was living in the UK, you'd have as an author, you would have access to the Arts Council, who can give you funding for a particular project, so on and so forth. In Jamaica, we don't have that kind of facility. There's a lot of, as Jackie said, there's a lot of really creative young people. You know what I mean? I've done mentoring in my alma mater, Calabar High, and one of the things I realized interacting with the young men is their knowledge and the way that because we did poetry. It's a poetry workshop. And it was so wonderful to see how these young men were expressing. So then it's all right, so that's great. So I was saying to them, boy, you think you can publish a book? I said, yeah, they would really love to do that. So what's the next step, for example? Yes. So like I said, so there's no one-stop shop or one place where, or if there is, it's not known. For young people to have that type of support or that kind of facility, especially when it comes to writing. And one of the things I'm an advocate for, and I must admit, I will share this with you too. I had the opportunity to go to Buckingham Palace, and I met Queen Camilla, and we had a discussion about writing in Jamaica, funny enough. It was only about a minute, but she actually said, must go back to Jamaica and encourage young people to write. So, and the reason why I share that is that we have to have a way of our vehicle or a channel there where young people can be seen. In terms of, like I said, the creativity that I've come across has been phenomenal. We're all world beaters anyway. But it was so good but there's nothing in place in terms of that private-public partnership, and or if there is, it's not known. So I think a lot more needs to be done in terms of getting the message across for the creative industry, particularly in terms of creative writing.
Thank you so much, Kwame. And I listen to you and build on what you're sharing, because as we think about deregulation, make sure that we're not lumping everything in the creative sector in one. So as we bring about sensitization to what I think is a multi-pronged industry, how, and I will direct this to Dwight. When I think of artists like Barry Watson, Albert Hewitt, Malika Reynolds, and even Ebony Patterson, Ebony, I forgot abroad in the sense of the word, to really get her crown. So when we think of how can Jamaica enhance its global competitiveness in the cultural industries, utilizing, of course, digitization and technology to optimize the economic impact. Dwight?
That's an interesting question, and thanks for that. There has to be several considerations, and I'm sure, Jackie, I see you shaking your head. You're ready to get on board for this one. But given the type of cultural interest you have, whether it's art, whether it's fashion, the application of whether it's technology, digitization, whatever you refer, it's going to be a little different. But the ambitions are always going to be similar. You really want to get ahead of the game. Yes. Like I share with people, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, you used to use a Polaroid camera to get the images of the new models that you find. So, even at the time, they were phasing them out, but there was really no other option. So I had to scoop up all of them from the only distributor in Jamaica at the time. Okay. But then here we are with the sophistication of digital technology and these things they call smartphones, which sometimes smarter than you. But hey, it helped definitely change the face of the industry, even in terms of how we develop the talent and we expose the talent to the markets overseas. One thing is important in the game, I find, and it doesn't matter which part of the cultural industry you are, this term aesthetic is sometimes taken for granted a lot. But for every successful star within the field of cultural or creative industries, look at them, whether it's in Hollywood, whether it's in the music, whether it is, whatever it is, there is that symbolic thing of aesthetic appeal. You know, so to really get to that next level in whatever, like I said, the area of creative endeavor, you've got to understand what that means to your profession, to your specific craft, how to elevate it and get it to the point where globally it will appeal to the right market. So for instance, for the models, it took a while for me to start understanding that proportions were important. And it wasn't just about a girl being skinny and tall, but what were the measurements? And then sometimes people will laugh if I say to them, you know, if a girl has a size 13 shoes, it's just not going to work. You know, similarly for a male model, it's just hard to find because of the issue of standardization and how the whole process works. So you start understanding that. So you're not frustrating a beautiful young lady because you think she's just beautiful. You have to have that consideration. And even in terms of full-figured models, their proportions also have considerations. So again, that speaks to the idea of aesthetic. So in terms of applying digitization through whatever mode, the identifying of that aesthetic, that element that is going to take your creative product to that next level is, to me, perhaps the major consideration.
And I'll chime in.
So, yes,
yeah,
so
I'll just
Jackie
chime in there to
and
say.
Andrea, and then we'll go to
Yes,
Kadeen.
I chime in to say that's the from a screen-based perspective, that's the commercial viability of a product.
See?
Yeah.
There you are.
Andrea?
I was going to endorse, you know, in terms of global competitiveness, digitization, technology is critical. The way that you have fintech, right? It's how technology revolutionized the financial industries. You have medtech. There is createch. The IDB invested over $1 million in a partnership with Kingston Creative to explore createch. This is an effort to get our creatives ready to use digital technology. It's not enough just to have talent. You must be able to reach your markets wherever they are in the world. You must understand NFTs. You must be understanding the impact of AI, how you can leverage augmented reality. We even have augmented reality murals in Water Lane in downtown. So I think createch is a really key issue when it comes on to being globally competitive. The world is in a certain place, and our creatives can't rely on just their talent in their field. They have to understand and be able to apply technology to leapfrog to the front of the game.
Yep.
And just one more point. Even in terms of engaging the diaspora, because that's really the purpose of this. Yes. There are opportunities of collaboration because there are members of the diaspora with the skill set, the connections that can assist entrepreneurs on our side, who, even though we may get to a point, we can always take it to that next level. So, you know, we always look forward to reaching out to, you know, for opportunities in that regard. So that's a major consideration as we discuss all these, you know, elements.
Thank you so
moderator,
much.
if I may just add, there is a very key way that the diaspora can engage with these creatives. I'd be very remiss if I did not mention the Caribbean Creative Network.org. This is where you can find a Jamaican creative, look at their portfolio, see what they offer, or the Culture Connect app, KULCHA Connect. This is where you can support a creative from wherever you are when you go home by buying their work. The Honorable Minister mentioned the importance of having Jamaican art in your home. We have to support our creatives, and Culture Connect is an easy way for you to do so, and it'll be shipped directly to wherever you are in the world.
So Kadeen, thank you so much. Kadeen, just the final shot here.
Sure thing. I'm learning so much.
Yes,
that's the purpose of me being here too, is to learn about, you know, so many ways that I can help to impact. So go for it. Yeah.
So my question for you, in terms of intellectual property, how can you share with our audience? How can we protect that, you know, intellectual property right? Because it's crucial in the creative and cultural industries.
Yeah, it's really a difficult space to be in because you think about when you are accessing social media and you're using your platforms to just instantly put anything out there, you know, protecting, copywriting, making sure that your ownership is intact is a very, very tricky and slippery slope. But one thing that I do know that my family and I are doing, we've had so many different opportunities to be exposed to, you know, taking our likeness, taking our image, taking our family brand, and we've realized along the way that not all money is good money, you know, and we, in remaining authentic to ourselves and to our story and to who we are, decided that we wanted to have ownership over our intellectual property, ownership over our brand, ownership over our name and our content. So we're in a great space when it comes to social media now where we are able to control our own narratives, and that's what I encourage youth who come to talk to me about ways to get into the industry. Really just create your own way. There is no linear path when it comes to creativity, much less the film industry, much less TV, much less film. There's just no linear path. So by creating your own lane and essentially holding on to whatever is authentic to you, it really will allow you to just get the leverage to move forward. And that's how I've been able to make the connections that my family and I have made in the industry as well, too. It's really just owning your own property, owning your own stories, and I encourage many Jamaicans and diasporans to do the same thing, to make sure that we're owning our own stories and not allowing other people to tell us.
Thank you so much. I really want to thank you so much for sharing this. You know, ladies and gentlemen, with all due respect, there is a time constraint and we could go on for the next 45 minutes or so. But I really just want to ask you just this one thought. What we can do to make it better. One thought. Yes, Andrea, one thought.
So my one thought is that we have made such change in downtown Kingston, a problem that has plagued this country. The perception of downtown Kingston is a perception of Jamaica. All the shutters, the crime, all of the negatives that are around downtown is applied to all of you as you move through the diaspora. There's been such a shift in just painting these murals and having people coming in and doing what we're doing in Water Lane. I would encourage the diaspora to get involved in phase 2.
Thank you.
We are now doing downtown transformation, the second phase, which is called Adopt a Block. So for the 8 blocks of the city between the National Gallery of Jamaica and the Institute of Jamaica and the National Library, of course, those 8 blocks, we're inviting corporates, we're inviting diaspora, we're inviting individuals to come on board. So please do get in touch if you're interested in being a part of the change going forward in downtown Kingston. It impacts Brand Jamaica, it impacts all of us, and it's a very powerful tool for social cohesion, crime reduction in these communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Jackie.
I'm going to two-prong plug this. I want to start with Jamaica Screen Development Initiative. And we recently launched and closed the call for application, $1 billion, as most would know, for the Jamaican creatives, specifically for screen-based. And so now that my creatives eventually will have this access to funding, pool of funding that they've never had before, what I want to challenge the diaspora is to support the creatives. Understand that this is a viable means and way of investing your time, energy, and effort. The creatives, they've always just been left, you know, in the corner, unsure whether or not their craft is true, but it is. And I can go on the line talking about all the investments that have been made, the films that are coming into Jamaica. You just saw the Bob Marley, One Love, right? We hired over 200, you know, crew, above the line, below the line staff. What I'm saying is that our creatives are skilled. They have the stories. They have the talent. So I want us as Jamaican diaspora to support that. So from an investment standpoint, the private, public funding coming together, I want a pool of funds for creative arts that is sustainable for years to come.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, so give it up for our panelists. We're running over time. I want to really take the opportunity to express my profound gratitude and appreciation for you taking the time out of your schedule to share with us, to bring your energy, experience, excitement, and of course your expertise. I thank you, and I look forward to when we bust out and make Jamaica and Jamaicans the people of the world when it comes to culture and the creative industries. I thank you for your work. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for our panelists.
Thank you.
So, they're asking us to stand for a photo op, please. Are there any questions from the audience? Oh, okay, we have one question there. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Michelle Paravich. I generally work in IT out of Atlanta, but my question here, I have two questions if you don't mind. So one of them is, only about 10 places show up as results in Jamaica for a Google Maps search of music instruments near me. Where's the support for the fine arts, not just the performing arts in your plan?
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. So you're here to support?
I am, but these questions are not about support, it's about what they've presented as, here's what's needed, this is like the creative industries, but I don't notice anything about the fine arts. And
Thank you.
classical music has research backing on its impact on even unborn children.
And I appreciate that question. So the conversation around data around having information to really, again, this multi-prong. Andrea, what are your thoughts? And then DP.
Yeah, I think what Hugh is referring to is there's not a lot of information out there, and we need to do better at collecting data around the creative industries. However, a lot is happening on the ground. New galleries are opening in downtown Kingston. Our visual artists, our fine artists, are actually the ones painting these hundreds of murals across the country. So the muralists and the visual artists are finding employment in many different ways. They have formed different collectives. There's Bad Art Gallery, and there's a lot happening. But as usually happens in Jamaica, if you know, you know.
Yeah. Right.
You know. So what we have been really encouraging the fine artists to do is to register on the CaribbeanCreativeNetwork.org. How else will the world see you? How else will people who want to purchase from you or who want to invest in your business know that you are there? And how else do we have data to say, okay, government, you need to lobby for X, Y, and Z because we now have this mass of artists. So I agree with you. It is difficult to find information, but may I reassure you that the fine artists are there and are working and are thriving.
I mean, it's not with it.
Hold on, one thing, just to your point about you haven't heard anything about fine arts. Well, let me tell you this, as the chair for Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts, the fine arts area at that college is perhaps the best, and it's known globally. Now, there is actually a culture around fine arts in Jamaica. This is something I discovered while I was at Edna and started interacting with a lot of the artists. Philip Thomas, for example, Camille Cheddar, and a couple others. And you know, when you hear like movie stars in Hollywood actually collecting these Jamaicans' artwork, let me tell you, it's no play thing. So you are correct, perhaps more needs to be done around the marketing of it. But sometimes they will tell you that's just how they like it.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
And I know that the National Library is here, National Gallery is here. So I just pointed to have that conversation. I usually also send them to the education, usually to UE, Edna Manley. But I know it's a thriving business, and I work with so many fine arts, even though this is not within my remit. But yes, really, really.
Hi, I just want to address your concern in something. Our perspective. I'm the senior director of the National Gallery of Jamaica, and I must advise that it is one of our focal points. So Manley often highlight Caribbean and the Jamaican arts. And we actually this year we're celebrating our 50th anniversary, and we are showcasing, you know, a large gamut of work by Jamaican art with mainstream art, what we call the intuitive art. So we are working very steadily in that department. National Gallery of Jamaica. Hi.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your question.
Yes. Follow-up question is, there are no entertainment lawyers on the panel, even though one of the biggest issues, if not the biggest, with Jamaica based on a then versus now look at multiple past entertainers. It's not the shortage of talent because we're exploding with both talent and creativity. It's them getting their fair share of the returns from their creative energy being shared with the rest of the world. Where's the involvement of legal advice to the actual creative individuals in these plans, proactively before they sign a contract? where in the plans for creatives in Jamaica is the protection for creatives in terms of having a legal resource permanently attached to this Creative Industries Initiative at no cost to the new and upcoming talents we all know tend to be very young. And in terms of concrete now solutions such as a pension fund for the creatives and insurance vehicles that target the creatives and encourage registering themselves even as a business, just as an example, under their actual performing name in the Companies Office of Jamaica, or like a Jamaican version of the Screen Actors Guild, a Creative Industries Guild. As one example, one of my favorite artists, Terry
what is your specific question?
No one is helping him.
Sorry, because of time.
I think I want to speak about one. There is JIPA, Jamaica Intellectual Property Office. And then there's also the National Library that is also here. And I think sometimes, again, it's the information sharing. So for my filmmakers and animators, they would know that, especially with rolling out the Jamaica Screen Development Initiative, what I push is that they understand the chain of title. And chain of title, as you say, there's somebody on this panel that is a lawyer for intellectual property or entertainment law, but I can tell you it starts in the development phase. And so what we encourage our creatives, and we do that through JAFTA, Jamaica Film and Television Association. We talk to them through Women and Film in Television. We also talk to them through Jamaica Animation and Nation Network. So we encourage them to understand the importance of having that intellectual property agreement, contracts, etc. But it's there for some of the creatives. I hear where you're coming from. It's just that we need to, but we're very informal. And I know from my side, I really try to push that because they won't be able to access funding if they can't show proof of ownership of the content they're creating.
Our final question. Thank you so much.
Hello. My name is Terry Bennett. I know we're pressed on time, but I'm a strategic revenue manager for one of the biggest companies in the world, M&M Mars. And I also have a degree in sound audio engineering, and I work heavily within the music industry. And what I did was identify areas of opportunity that the artists are missing out on, specifically when it comes to their brands. So our artists have some of the biggest brands in the world. Their names, as she mentioned, are some of the biggest names in the world. However, there's areas of opportunity we're leaving tons of millions of dollars on the table, not only for them, but for the country, and to reinvest back into the country. So I do want to say this. I presented one of the strategies to one of our biggest artists in the diaspora, and one thing he told me when we started talking about investing back into the country is that's not going to work. Okay. So therefore, I came to this conference to ensure that we can get some kind of alignment. So when I go back to this individual, right, he sees that there is a way to make it work. Because with their support, with their name, and most importantly with their brand, because they have household penetration.
But my question, are you sharing a question?
I'm sharing a strategy that I worked on.
Okay,
it's in the
so
process of being
what
worked
I'd
on.
ask you
but
to
now
do,
the question is,
we can speak to you afterwards.
To align on support.
So,
support.
What's your question?
No,
Let's talk about your strategy later on. What's
right,
your question?
Yeah, and I would love to have a conversation. I can share my, so we can speak afterwards since we have a time issue.
Yes. So aligning on the support is the question.
Hugh,
so
we're out of time, Hugh.
All right. So we're out of time.
Yes.
All right.
Sorry,
Just give it
guys.
up for our panelists and the audience. Thank you so very much.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. It's been a very long day. And
just one more question. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for the panel. My name is Shay Williams. I'm a student at the University of Cambridge, and I also do photography in my spare time.
And listen.
I just want to ask a quick question. Other than the Caribbean Creative Network and the Culture Connected Act that you just talked about, are there any initiatives for young people specifically? For example, a college connection between the UK, US, and Jamaica specifically, to where that they can connect in terms of creative, anything to do with the creative.
They're going to come to you and answer
I
afterwards,
will answer
right?
your question after. Thank you
right.
so much.
Okay. So we'll do the photographs very quickly. While the photographs are being taken, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. You have been amazing to be here from this morning until this final hour. I hope you've enjoyed today at the conference. Next door, there is some entertainment for you, provided by Jamaica National. Guess who is going to be performing next door in D3? Agent Sasko. So, for those of you who are fans, regular lovers, next door, Jamaica National will put on a treat for you. Join us tomorrow, final day of the conference, where we will start the day at 8:30 a.m. looking at tourism and wealth creation.